So next up we have Lou. She's from the Foresight Institute, which I think Martin was also even talking about recently. And Lou is a governance researcher exploring alternative economic, justice and political systems. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Okay, cool. Let's talk about opportunities for DeSci within the context of network sovereign. So thank you for introducing me. My name is Lou. I have two hats, which I'm using today. One is Foresight Institute. I am program director there and accelerating breakthrough technologies for the benefit of life. And I'm also a political science researcher exploring governance models beyond the nation state. I'm also a community builder through Fetopia. So I wanted to start this talk with a video with Brian Johnson, who is talking about something and introducing the topic in a really interesting way. But does this support video? Is this gonna work? Thank you for whoever is troubleshooting. I appreciate. I could try to do my best Brian Johnson imitation, but I am not sure I really have the vibe.
One is start a company, two is start a country, three is start a religion, four, don't die, five, become God. And so the company is not in my scope of ambition anymore. I'm going to build a country, and so I'm going to build a don't die nation state, because if we're serious about not dying, like we're really serious, we need practical things. We need to test ourselves, we need medical services, we need therapies, and no government in the world cares for its citizens in that capacity. And so if we're serious, we have to build out real world infrastructure to help people not die.
Thank you so much for helping with the video. So there are a few things that are interesting to me in this video. The first part, like, you know, the sort of like unhinged God complex comment about levels of ambitions for humanity and what those may be. But there is also that it introduces this idea that we need potentially, and we should explore new models of governance for the world. That there should be something after the nation state, because there are gaps into fulfilling a few of the, or like solving a few important problems that we may have. And, you know, this is what Brian Johnson cares about, and this is the way he wants to go about it, like create a new state. But the question is this the only way? Should we stop like our ambitions here, and are there other potential opportunities? But first of all, let's define a little bit like the terms that I'm going to talk about here. I'm talking about network sovereigns when I'm speaking about new forms of collective human organizations that have been emerging in the context of networks, within the context of networks. And this movement is propelled by technology. It's been a bit that the current global political system that is founded on the idea of the nation state, which is the Westphalian nation state, and the idea of sovereignty, the ultimate sovereign being the nation state, is put into question. You know, first and foremost because of globalization and, you know, questioning in general borders and territories, but also because of new technologies. And this is, you know, I expect this crowd to be most familiar with this argument, but as in many different domains, the possibility, you know, the fact that we have digital technology, communication technology that transcend boundaries, and now the fact that we have the possibility to create tech, to build trust, to not have third parties, to have contracts and enforcing them, to have new voting mechanisms, all these open new possibilities for governance. This has been an idea popular in this, you know, in the Web3 crypto ecosystem for a while now, of course. And nonetheless, then Vitalik Buterin, founder of Ethereum, if I need to say it, created this pop-up city last year in 2023 called Zuzalu, and it was put together in 2 months in Montenegro. I thought the picture was hilarious. It's from a little bit this like sensationalist article, and they put like Emad Mostake from Stability, Vitalik, and Grime into this. I don't know. This was actually the city. For those who went, you may recognize it. Anyway, so Vitalik wanted to experiment with like creating this pop-up village, experimenting with governance, innovation, right? There was a lot of like science and tech there, and seeing like if we can, by, you know, trying these new ways of living together and collaborating together, advance things differently. This idea was inspired to Vitalik by Balaji Srinivasan when he wrote this book in 2022 called The Network State, in which he proposes this idea of a sort of corporate state in the end. Like it starts with a startup, there is a founder, the startup acquires real estate and a territory, and it has its own like crypto money, and then it grows in size, has more and more citizens, and ultimately, by, you know, like the way of having a census that shows that it has a lot of citizens and like a lot of whatever their token is, can be recognized by nation state as, you know, having sovereignty and become a state in a way. I think I will give it to Balaji for something, which is this idea has had a lot of mimetic power. Like, I think most of you have very likely heard about the network state, and it is important that people, you know, get this idea in their head that it is possible to have forms of governance beyond the network state, that there is something else that is possible, that there is no, let's say, nation-state realism. But I have a few critiques as well of Balaji, which is, actually, if you read the network state, there is no proper like governance model that is proposed, or at least the one that seems, you know, if you, I think there is once the word governance in the book. If you look at the model, this like startup founder, it's reproduced a lot of the ideas of that generally the crypto community has with nation states, which is, it's very centralized, it's extremely oligarchic, right? And it's territory based. So maybe, you know, we can use our imaginations for like seeing what could be possible that is even more ambitious. And my biggest critique is, it's an exit-based strategy. And why is this a problem? Is because we have huge challenges right now that we need to coordinate on as humanity, you know, to solve like on a global scale. A few of them maybe, you know, just like being near a potential ecosystem collapse, or, you know, AI coordination, AI alignment and coordinating around it and making it so that there is no harm's race. All of that in the context of, you know, a rise in autocratic regimes right now on the political level, and the UN that is completely, yeah, like sort of pretty useless in terms of world governance at this point, and has lost a lot of its credibility and power. Yeah, so, you know, I think that if we go the network state way, it's not going to work for us in this context of huge challenges for humanity. That's why, with a group of researchers, we went actually to Zuzalu with the goal of proposing an alternative to the vision of the network state, being like, okay, actually, you know, that's just one proposition in a landscape where we can propose multiple forms of governance, new forms of human coordination for the world beside the nation state. And we proposed one, but it doesn't have to be the only one at all. You know, it's also to encourage more thinking in that direction. The one we tried to play with the word like state and be, okay, we don't want something that's that's territorial. We want something like transcends boundaries, and the word nation, which in political science relates to the idea of like it's the culture, it's the more like the relationship, the fabric of relationships between people who are part of the same nation, and so we called it a coordination. And it is a proposition for a new institutional structure for global cooperation. That is very like voluntary based, that is tying the local to the global, and allowing for systems that are interdependent, very decentralized, but integrated, and that are really acknowledging this interdependence that is like, a fact. We don't really have a choice. We are interdependent, like all connected in this world, and we have to build systems that reflect that. I also wanted to talk about actually real-life sort of empirical examples of where this sort of like movement is starting today. There have been a few sort of like spin-offs after Zuzalu. Vitalia is one of them. I don't know if Lawrence is here. I saw him like a few minutes ago, but I'm sure some of you have been there. I think Vitalia is like openly a sort of like proto-network state. It is built in the context of, within the territory of Prospera, which is a special economic zone that has like a different legislation, which is in Honduras. And something that is interesting here is the legal system allows for sort of like different research sort of ability to do to conduct research, and this is something that can be leveraged for you can imagine like medical tourism, like people come try and like new therapy and like biohacking that's not allowed otherwise, and that accelerates potentially research and also create like resources. And you could think of like Vitalia wanting to create like different cities in this way and expanding. Other possibility, there is Edge City, which is, I think, actually more taking this coordination approach, just in the sense that it's not territory based. They're really focusing on like the fabric of like the community, building the relationships, sharing resources, putting things in common, and very much still focusing on accelerating science and tech. For instance, I'll be there with Foresight from the 10, I'll be there all months. It's in June in California, in Healdsburg. But I'll be there also, especially under the Foresight hat, from the 10 to the 16, and we are going to work on the intersection of AI, neurotech, and bio, like basically see how we can, build friendly relationships with AI and become really cool cyborgs, if we want to. And we'll be, with the help of Martin's tech trees that he just wonderfully showed us, mapping all the space of this, making, seeing like how we can make that happen. Like HCT is a really interesting approach. You can scan the QR code if you want to like check this out and join us. I told you I was a governance researcher, so this is a residency that we are doing on the topic of network sovereigns. There is Morgan, who is here, who is part of the residency, and some of you know it maybe as well. If you want to check it out, you can also scan the QR code. We are, doing more research into these empirical examples of where network sovereignty may be helpful, and with Morgan in particular on the DeSci aspect. So just to wrap this up a little bit, tie it back into the opportunities for DeSci in the context of network sovereign. I think I want to insist that, to Brian Johnson's point, there are indeed gaps, like institutional gaps, and things that are left, important things that are left unaddressed. And really, I think DeSci has a lot of a big role potentially to play into doing super important things. The question is, what are these things that we are going to choose to do? There is the Brian Johnson, approach. And I'm not saying that this is not important, this is very important. You can have it, no problem. But we also, longevity is important. It's a big part of the work of Foresight. But I think we should be even more ambitious. There is a lot to be done into working on systems that can give us planetary coherence, full planetary coherence, make it so that we are balanced within our ecosystem. There is a lot to be done potentially in working with AI and making it so that we build a relationship with AI that allows us to benefit from the full potential of the human-machine coexistence and cooperation. And, on the other side, if we can't make it work, we won't have network states or, longevity in all areas. And so this is really important. And so, maybe DeSci will be the last part of the chain. But hopefully it's also a friendly relationship, right? Not everything has to be aggressive and competitive. Ideally, we build a very loving relationship with AIs. This is the details if you want to read a little bit more about this, but thank you for listening.